It's called export, and that's about it. So I've shown at London Fashion Week, I've shown in New York, everywhere on earth. It's no different. It's just that you decide to do a show here, you can do a show there. You want to sell your clothes here, you can sell them. Abroad is just another place. Like we have land under our feet, there's land there. It depends. There are I don't know how many countries on earth, 200 plus.
I think I'll reframe the question. I think what she meant to say is we teach them a term called global.
Okay.
Think global, act local.
Okay.
So are you carrying the global to, are you going country wise? Is your collection a basic collection? Are you modifying your collection to a country? Keeping in mind that every culture has a different color, preference, various silhouettes, weather is different. Or are you going with the basic line and selling the same collection in between? Am I right? Is that what you asked? That's what
Okay.
she's trying to ask.
So I do for myself two shows. I do what I call then my international collection, which we show at the was earlier Wills, now it's Amazon. So at the fashion weeks. So that's called ready to wear collection. And that's essentially an international Western line under 10,000 rupees. Who buys it is dependent on the whether I fit in for the buyer, whether it's Middle East, whether it's America, Japan, France, Italy, and I can even showcase it in any fashion week I participate in Europe or any fair I want to do. And there are two seasons I do, which is spring and fall. And then I do what I call is daily we producing bespoke kind of clothing for our boutique in Delhi. Or I can do the exhibition model, which sometimes works for me. When I have energy, I do it. And then I also do is Couture Week, which is a season where I show the Indian wedding collection in July. So 3 shows a year at least, yeah.
So it's obvious the bespoke clothing and the couture is the Indian wedding is not going abroad.
Yeah.
The other two shows that are being done by Amazon
But
are being
today you can actually bridge it. It's not
Yeah.
so, it's very easy to bridge the two today because the fashion is so similar and it's very overlapping and it's even the Indian, those kurtas, the kaftans, the scarves, people a lot of times like it. Like recently one of our buyers has taken one of my couture skirts as one of their own Christmas collections as a skirt. So it's relevant. I mean, how they put it in their stories, how you fit in. Like, and to have standalone boutiques, you can do that too. But it's huge investments.
How much of forecast do you follow?
Completely, you have to follow forecast trends for international seasons, which you will do for spring and fall. Now we've done 2015, so there's this new color I think, which will. My personal thing is that it's going to come up as the big player. Is that orangey rust? Because I've done it before in the 90s. It was very big then. So I really dug out my own old collections, some pieces, and we use them to restructure this as our own. Because otherwise it really, if you borrow, you don't get that USP and you invariably never get the business on it.
Would you like to tell our students something about the change of the Indian society by the customer has changed in India? In 90s, the way you were selling, what you were selling, to today, what you're selling, and the differences. How should they capture that and understand your customer a bit? It's
I
important
think
for them.
customer is important, very important because it's what people want. And today the customer is very savvy, whether he lives in a village. And I mean, to value your Indian client is very important, I think. A lot of us have this obsession of going abroad. And trust me, I've done damn lot of shows abroad. It is so much harder than doing them at home. It is at least 10 times harder. I mean, the only place I've enjoyed is in Latin America, where a single woman is like an army of tailors. I mean, they are so skilled. They are exceptional. Other than that, it is so hard to do shows abroad. I've done work in Italy, I've done in Mauritius, I've done everywhere. I mean, even British seamstresses I've had, they're wonderful. But it is much harder than doing work in India. We are so lucky that we are here. And it is such a big country with so much home buying that one doesn't even need to go out and die outside, frankly. I mean, it doesn't mean I don't do well abroad. In fact, most of my good workings of profits in the past few years have been by selling to other countries. But I dread going for exhibitions abroad. I admire my colleagues who, I mean, it's like being in suitcases 3 times your weight and hanging, ironing, steaming, and there's hordes of work and the speed with which you have to work because that's your counterpart there. He isn't used to staff at home. He isn't used to your mollycoddling. He's used to doing all that efficient work alone. And you have to be next to him. And you're clumsy. You're never going to survive next to them. So they are excellent. So when I was showing in London Fashion Week, next to me were the students like you guys that had their booth of, I don't know, one of the knitwear schools in Birmingham. You should have seen the skill set. I mean, one of the girls' lines was picked up by Browns. That's why, because they were just sitting there sewing. They were doing it all themselves. There's no tailor there. They do it themselves. That is who this Christopher Kane is. Christopher Kane and his sister, Tammy, they made their first line themselves till they became so big. And that with Harvey Nichols and all coming up, they could afford all the production teams. But everybody does it themselves. So you're going to bring your own suitcase up, you're going to open it yourself, you're going to hang it, iron it, tag it. You are the buyer, you're the donkey who cleans your stall. So, and shut it by the evening. So it's much harder abroad. It's so much easier here. I mean, of course, I've been very fortunate to be gone on very large projects over the time where I could afford assistants and take them along. But if you, even then, you have to work much harder. This is the best place to be in.